Every story you have ever loved is a lie. Not because they are fiction, but because they are all the same story. Star Wars, The Matrix, Harry Potter, The Lion King. Even the story of Jesus or the Buddha. It's not that they're similar. It's that they are the exact same story, dressed in different clothes, told with a different accent, but following a secret, unchanging blueprint. A master template. A psychological operating system that has been running inside the human mind for thousands of years. This isn't a literary theory. This is a map to the human soul. And for decades, the man who discovered it was ignored. In 1949, a reclusive professor of literature named Joseph Campbell published a book that should have changed the world. It was called The Hero with a Thousand Faces. In it, he made an outrageous claim that every myth, every legend, every religion from every corner of the globe was built on the same fundamental structure. He called it the Monomyth, or what we now know as the hero's journey. He claimed to have found a universal pattern, a secret code for transformation that is hardwired into our DNA. A story that we don't just tell, but that we are compelled to live. But here's the unsettling question that his work forces us to ask. If this pattern is so powerful that it shapes all of our greatest stories, is it also shaping you? Is your life right now following this ancient script without you even realizing it? By the end of this presentation, you will not only see this code everywhere you look, from the commercials you watch to the news you consume, but you will be forced to confront where you are on this very same journey. Joseph Campbell wasn't a mystic or a guru. He was a scholar, a man obsessed with the connective tissue of human culture. For years, he buried himself in the dust of forgotten libraries, devouring the sacred texts of civilizations that had long since crumbled to dust. He read the Epic of Gilgamesh from ancient Mesopotamia, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the legends of the Knights of the Round Table, the folk tales of the Native Americans. He studied Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and as he read, a strange and powerful pattern began to emerge from the noise. It was like staring at thousands of different photographs, only to realize they were all of a single identical object, just taken from slightly different angles. The details were always different. The hero might be a prince or a pauper. The monster might be a dragon or a tyrannical corporation. The prize might be a holy grail or a new understanding of the universe. But the underlying journey, the sequence of events, was always the same. A cycle of departure, initiation, and return. Campbell realized he hadn't just found a storytelling formula. He had found the fundamental narrative of human experience. The story of growth. The story of becoming. Think about it. Why do these stories resonate so deeply within us? Why does a farm boy from a desert planet staring at two suns feel so familiar? Why does a young wizard discovering a hidden world feel like a memory we've always had? Because these stories are not just entertainment. They are mirrors. They are a symbolic language that speaks directly to our subconscious, telling us the story of our own potential. They show us the path from who we are to who we could be. This journey is a circle, divided into distinct stages. 17 of them, according to Campbell's original work, though they are often simplified into a more manageable 12. It begins always in the same place, the ordinary world. This is the hero's home, the place of comfort, of familiarity, of safety. It's the Shire for Frodo Baggins. It's the dusty farm on Tatooine for Luke Skywalker. It's the boring, mundane world inside a computer simulation for Neo. It's Kansas for Dorothy. It's the world we all know. It's our 9-to-5 job, our daily routine, our comfortable but perhaps unfulfilling existence. It's the life we have before the adventure begins. The hero in this stage is not yet a hero. They are incomplete, unaware of their own potential, sensing that something is missing, but unable to name it. Let's take the most influential modern myth of all, Star Wars. When we first meet Luke Skywalker, he's not a galactic savior. He's a whiny teenager stuck on a moisture farm in the middle of nowhere. He dreams of going to the Academy, of adventure, of anything other than his boring life. He is a nobody. This is crucial. The hero must start as one of us. They must be relatable in their mediocrity, in their longing for something more. This is the baseline, the before picture in a cosmic transformation. Then something happens. An event that shatters the hero's ordinary world forever. It is an intrusion of the spectacular into the mundane. Campbell called this next stage the call to adventure. It's the inciting incident. It's the moment the universe knocks on the hero's door and tells them their old life is over. For Luke, this call is literal. It's a holographic message from a princess, delivered by two droids, pleading for help. "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." This message doesn't just bring news, it brings destiny. It's a whisper of a much larger world, a galactic conflict, a forgotten legacy of Jedi Knights and a mystical force. The call is a challenge, a choice. The comfortable world is no longer enough. A door has opened to a world of adventure and danger. But what is the hero's immediate reaction? Do they leap at the chance? Almost never. The next stage is the refusal of the call. This is one of the most important and human stages of the entire journey. The hero hesitates. They are filled with fear, with doubt, with a sense of inadequacy. Luke's first reaction isn't to grab a lightsaber. It's to make excuses. "I can't get involved. I've got work to do. It's not that I like the Empire, I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now." This is the voice of fear, the voice of the status quo. It's the part of us that clings to the familiar, even when it's unsatisfying. We see this everywhere. Frodo Baggins doesn't want to take the ring to Mordor. He wishes it had never come to him. Neo literally tells Morpheus, "This is crazy," and tries to escape. This refusal is what makes the hero real. Their fear makes their eventual courage meaningful. They are not fearless. They are people who act in spite of their fear. This moment of refusal, this crossroads between the familiar and the unknown, is where most people, in their own lives, stop. They hear a call, a chance to start a new business, to move to a new city, to end a bad relationship, to pursue a passion, and the fear of the unknown paralyzes them. They refuse the call, and their story ends before it even begins. But for the hero of myth, something or someone intervenes. This is the next stage. Meeting the mentor. Just when the hero is about to retreat back into their ordinary world, a figure of wisdom and power appears. The mentor is often an old man or woman, a wizard, a hermit, a teacher, who provides the hero with the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence they need to accept the call. For Luke, this is, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the strange old hermit from the desert hills. He doesn't just explain the Force and the legacy of the Jedi. He gives Luke his father's lightsaber. This is more than a weapon, it is a symbol. It is a tangible link to the new world, a key to the hero's destiny. The mentor represents the hero's own highest aspirations. They are what the hero can become if they follow the path. Gandalf gives Frodo guidance. Morpheus gives Neo a choice. Dumbledore gives Harry Potter a purpose. The mentor's job is to give the hero that final, necessary push across the threshold, out of the ordinary world and into the adventure. The ordinary world, the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, meeting the mentor. These aren't just the first 4 steps of a movie plot. They are the first 4 stages of any significant transformation in a person's life. This is the universal code. This is the beginning of the pattern that repeats itself over and over, not just on our screens, but in our history books and in our own hearts. It is the story of leaving home to find yourself. And what we've just uncovered is only the beginning of the blueprint. The hero has only just agreed to take the first step. They have yet to face the true dangers, the real tests, the descent into darkness that awaits them all. They have yet to die and be reborn. Before a hero can be reborn, they must first leave their old world behind entirely. This isn't just stepping out the front door for an adventure. It's a definitive, irreversible commitment. It's the moment the drawbridge is pulled up behind them, the ship leaves the harbor, and there is no turning back. Joseph Campbell called this stage crossing the first threshold. It's the point where the hero finally leaves the ordinary world and enters the special world, a place with its own rules, its own dangers, and its own secrets. Think about it. Luke Skywalker isn't just going for a ride along with Obi-Wan. He's blasting off the desert planet he's known his entire life, leaving behind the smoking ruins of his home and his family. He has nothing left to go back to. For Harry Potter, it's not just getting on a train. It's running full speed at a solid brick wall between platforms 9 and 10. He bursts through to the other side, into a world of magic he never knew existed, leaving the world of the Dursleys behind him forever. For Frodo, it's the fateful decision at the edge of a cornfield. He could go back to the Shire, back to his comfortable life, but he chooses to press on towards Bree, truly beginning his journey to destroy the ring. This threshold is almost always guarded. There are threshold guardians, gatekeepers who test the hero's resolve. These aren't the main villain but lesser obstacles. They might be literal guards like the bouncers at a club, or figurative ones like a crippling fear or a social taboo. Sometimes the hero must fight them, like Luke and Obi-Wan dealing with the stormtroopers in Mos Eisley. Other times, they must outsmart them or simply prove their worthiness. The purpose of these guardians is to make one thing clear: you are not in Kansas anymore. The old rules don't apply, and if you aren't strong enough or clever enough to get past even this first test, you have no hope of surviving what lies ahead. Once across the threshold, the hero finds themselves in a strange new land. This is the belly of the whale, a term Campbell uses to signify the hero being fully swallowed by the unknown. It's a place of disorientation and danger, but also of wonder and rebirth. And it's here that the next critical phase begins. Tests, allies, and enemies. No hero walks into a new world and immediately knows how to operate. They're a fish out of water. They have to learn the landscape, the customs, the skills needed to survive. This is where the training montage happens. Luke learns to trust the Force, not his eyes, aboard the Millennium Falcon. Katniss Everdeen has to quickly assess the other tributes in the Hunger Games, figuring out who is a threat and what skills she needs to showcase to win sponsors. These tests aren't the final boss fight. They're smaller challenges that build the hero's competence and confidence. They force the hero to adapt and grow, transforming from the uncertain person they were in the ordinary world into someone capable of facing the darkness to come. But the most important lesson of this stage is that no hero succeeds alone. It's here they discover who they can trust and who they must fight. First, they find their allies. These are the friends and companions who join the quest. They are absolutely essential. Ron and Hermione aren't just Harry's school chums. They represent the loyalty and intellect he needs to survive. Ron is the heart, the connection to the wizarding world's culture, while Hermione is the brain, the logic and knowledge that repeatedly saves their lives. Han Solo and Chewbacca aren't just taxi drivers for Luke. They become the cynical rogue and the loyal warrior who join a cause greater than themselves. And of course, there is Samwise Gamgee, the truest of friends, whose steadfast loyalty is the only reason Frodo is able to endure the corrupting power of the ring. These allies form a team of fellowship. They provide support, offer different skills, and challenge the hero's own perspective. They are the ones who pick the hero up when they fall. The journey is as much about forging these bonds as it is about achieving the final goal. At the same time, the hero begins to identify their enemies. This isn't just the ultimate shadow figure, the Sauron or Voldemort waiting at the end of the road. It's the rivals, the henchmen, the bullies who create immediate conflict. Draco Malfoy serves as a constant, personal antagonist for Harry, representing the prejudice and arrogance of the dark side on a daily, schoolyard level. The Empire's stormtroopers and officers are the faceless minions that provide constant threats, showing the sheer scale and power of the enemy Luke is up against. These early antagonists serve to clarify the stakes and define what the hero is fighting against. They are the whetstone upon which the hero sharpens their sword and their resolve. Through this series of trials of making friends and facing foes, the hero and their newfound team prepare for the next great step. They have learned the rules of the special world. They have honed their skills. They have forged a bond. Now they must take that knowledge and that strength and direct it toward the heart of the danger. This is the approach to the inmost cave. The inmost cave can be a literal place, a dungeon, a labyrinth, the villain's fortress. Or it can be a metaphorical one, a deep dive into the hero's own psyche, a confrontation with their deepest fear. It is the most dangerous spot in the special world, the place where the ultimate object of the quest is hidden. It's the Death Star, the Chamber of Secrets, the peak of Mount Doom. The approach is a stage filled with tension and foreboding. The fun and games are over. The team pauses to make a plan. Maps are studied, whispered conversations are had, and the true gravity of the mission finally sinks in. This is the moment of quiet dread before the storm. Think of the Fellowship of the Ring, standing at the dark, ominous entrance to the mines of Moria, or the rebels in Star Wars, gathered around the holographic plans of the Death Star, realizing the impossible odds of their attack. This is often where the hero's own doubts resurface, stronger than ever. Can they really do this? Are they strong enough? Are they leading their friends to their deaths? The path is guarded by the villain's most powerful forces, and every step closer to the goal brings greater peril. The air grows cold. The shadows lengthen. The hero and their allies must steel themselves, gather their courage, and prepare to enter the place where they will confront death itself. They are standing at the edge of the abyss, about to take the plunge into the central crisis of their story, the ordeal from which they may not return. They are about to face their greatest fear, and in doing so, face themselves. And in facing themselves, they face a kind of death. This is the ordeal. It is the dark heart of the journey, the moment of supreme crisis where the hero must confront their greatest fear, their mortal enemy, and the very real possibility of their own annihilation. This isn't just another test or a simple roadblock. This is the central life or death struggle upon which the entire story pivots. The hero has been trained, they have gathered allies, they have crossed the threshold, but all of it was just preparation for this single defining moment. The ordeal is almost always staged in a place of death, a location deep within the special world that represents the underworld, the belly of the beast, the enemy's most sacred and protected sanctum. It is the labyrinth, the dragon's lair, the Death Star's trench. It's the place you go to die. And in a very real symbolic sense, the hero must die. The person they were when they started the journey, the naive farm boy, the reluctant tribute, the cub who would be king, that version of them cannot survive this trial. It must be burned away in the crucible of this experience so that someone or something new can be born from the ashes. Think of Luke Skywalker descending into the dark cave on Dagobah. Yoda warns him, "Your weapons, you will not need them." But Luke takes his saber anyway. He confronts a vision of Darth Vader, his ultimate foe. He strikes him down in anger, only to see the mask explode and reveal his own face. The lesson is brutal and clear. The enemy he must defeat is not just the evil out there in the galaxy, but the potential for evil within himself. His true ordeal later in Cloud City is a physical manifestation of this. He loses the fight, he loses his hand, a part of himself, and he loses his innocence with the terrible revelation. "I am your father." The boy who dreamed of adventure dies in that moment, and the man who must confront a terrible legacy is born. Or consider Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets. He descends deep beneath the school, into a place of legend and death, to face a basilisk, a creature whose gaze means instant death. He is literally bitten, poisoned by its fang. The venom courses through him, and for all intents and purposes he is dying. He has failed. But it is in this moment of death that rebirth becomes possible. Fox the Phoenix, a creature of resurrection, arrives. Its tears heal the fatal wound. Harry survives, but he is not the same. He has faced down a piece of his mortal enemy's soul and returned, proving his loyalty to Dumbledore and his worthiness as a true Gryffindor. He has died and been reborn, stronger and with a deeper understanding of the darkness he must fight. This symbolic death is the engine of transformation. Without it, the hero's victory would be hollow. It's the difference between simply winning a prize and truly earning it. The hero who survives the ordeal has earned the right to be called a hero. They have been to the land of the dead and returned. They have looked into the abyss, and the abyss looked back, and they endured. This is Neo in the Matrix. He finally stands up to Agent Smith, but he loses. He is shot point-blank over and over. His vital signs flatline in the real world. He is dead. The crew of the Nebuchadnezzar looks on in horror. The prophecy was wrong. But Trinity's love, her faith, acts as the magical force of resurrection. She kisses him and he doesn't just wake up, he is reborn. He is no longer Neo the hacker. He is the one. The man who died in that hallway is gone forever. In his place is a being who can now see the world for what it truly is, code. He has transcended the limitations of his old self. And what happens after this death and rebirth? The hero claims their prize. This is the next stage, seizing the sword. After surviving the ordeal, the hero finally gets what they came for. The sword is a metaphor, of course. It can be a literal weapon, like King Arthur pulling Excalibur from the stone after proving his worth. It can be a magical object, like the Golden Fleece or the Holy Grail. But more often than not, the reward is something less tangible. It is knowledge. It is experience. It is a new level of awareness. When Luke survives his ordeal with Vader, his reward isn't a trophy. His reward is the truth. A horrible, world-shattering truth, but the truth nonetheless. This knowledge is the sword. He will need to eventually defeat the Emperor and redeem his father. It reshapes his entire quest. For Harry, the reward is the destruction of a Horcrux and the sword of Gryffindor itself, a tangible tool for his future battles. For the heroes of Star Wars, A New Hope, the reward is the Death Star plans, the critical information needed to save the rebellion. Sometimes the reward is love or the reconciliation with a father figure. For Simba in The Lion King, the ordeal is his confrontation with his past, with the ghost of Mufasa in the clouds. He finally accepts who he is. The reward is his renewed sense of purpose. He is no longer a runaway exile. He is the one true king. He has seized the sword of his own identity. This moment is the culmination of the hero's descent. It's the reason they face death in the first place. It provides the audience with a moment of rest, of celebration. The tension of the ordeal is released. The hero has won. They have the elixir that will cure the dying king. They have the magic lamp that will grant their wishes. They have the secret knowledge that will topple the evil empire. But the story isn't over. Not by a long shot. Because the hero is still deep in enemy territory. They are in the dragon's lair, holding its most prized treasure. And the dragon is starting to stir. Winning the central battle and seizing the reward is one thing. Getting it home is another matter entirely. The forces of darkness do not simply shrug and accept defeat. Having been plundered, having lost their most precious object or been dealt a mortal blow, they will now rally with a furious, desperate rage. The hero may have thought the worst was over, but the journey out is often more dangerous than the journey in. They now have something to lose. They are a target, and the road back to the ordinary world is fraught with peril, chased by the very consequences of their victory. They have poked the hornet's nest, and now the entire swarm is coming for them. The rail chase is about to begin. This is the moment the story shifts from a quest for a prize to a desperate flight for survival. The hero has the treasure, the knowledge, the elixir, but possessing it and keeping it are two entirely different things. This stage of the journey is called the road back, and it is almost never a leisurely stroll home. It's a high-stakes, full-throttle chase scene. The hero has burgled the dragon's hoard, and now the dragon is awake, angry, and raising the countryside to get its treasure back. Think about the Millennium Falcon escaping the Death Star. They rescued the princess, but in doing so, they led the Empire right to the hidden rebel base. The victory was temporary. It created an even bigger problem. Think of Indiana Jones snatching the golden idol, only to trigger a series of deadly traps and be pursued by a gigantic rolling boulder. The objective was completed, but the consequences are immediate and life-threatening. This isn't just tying up a loose end. It's the story reminding us that actions have consequences, that power doesn't yield its secrets without a fight. The forces the hero defeated in the ordeal are rarely destroyed completely. They are often wounded, humiliated, and now they are seeking vengeance. The hero has proven they are a genuine threat, and the antagonist now brings the full weight of their power down upon them. This pursuit serves a critical narrative purpose. It raises the stakes to their absolute maximum. The hero isn't just fighting for a magical sword anymore. They are fighting for their life and the lives of their allies, and for the chance to bring their boon back to a world that desperately needs it. But the chase isn't always external. Sometimes the most dangerous pursuit is internal. The hero, having experienced the wonders and power of the special world, might be tempted to stay. Why go back to a place that never understood you? Why return to the mundane when you've tasted the magnificent? The ordinary world is gray and predictable. The special world is vibrant, dangerous, and alive. Here you are a hero, a legend. Back home, you're just the person who has to take out the trash and pay the bills. This internal struggle, this temptation to abandon the final leg of the mission, can be just as perilous as any monster hot on their heels. The hero must recommit, not to the adventure, but to the purpose behind it. They must choose to return. In the Greek myth of the Argonauts, after Jason and Medea steal the Golden Fleece, they are relentlessly pursued by her father, King Aeetes. Their road back is a terrifying, bloody, and tragic ordeal across the known world. They don't just sail home, they are hunted. This is the price of their prize. The story would be far less compelling if they simply grabbed the fleece and everyone waved them a fond farewell. The chase proves the value of the fleece. It proves how much the old world is willing to sacrifice to keep it. This stage forces the hero to use everything they have learned so far. Their wits, their skills, the lessons from their mentor, the loyalty of their allies. Not to achieve a goal, but simply to survive. It's a final frantic test of their newfound abilities under the most extreme pressure. And it all leads to one final unavoidable confrontation. Because the road back doesn't lead directly home. It leads to the threshold, the border between the special world and the ordinary one. And at that border, a final gatekeeper awaits. The ultimate test is at hand. This brings us to the climax of the entire story. The 11th stage, the resurrection. This is not just another fight. This is the hero's most dangerous encounter with death. It is the final exam. It is the boss battle at the gates of home. The antagonist, or their most powerful lieutenant, makes one last, desperate stand to prevent the hero from returning to the ordinary world with the elixir. If the ordeal was the physical death of the hero's old self in the heart of the special world, the resurrection is their spiritual death and rebirth on the doorstep of their old life. To re-enter the ordinary world, the hero must be purified. They must shed the last remnants of their ego, their fear, their selfishness. They must face their own mortality and prove they have truly changed. This is why the resurrection so often involves a symbolic, or even literal, death and rebirth. The hero is struck down. All seems lost. They are beaten, broken, and about to be destroyed. Think of Harry Potter walking into the Forbidden Forest, willingly sacrificing himself to Voldemort. He has to die to destroy the piece of Voldemort's soul inside him. He enters the King's Cross of his mind, a purified space between worlds, and is given a choice. He is resurrected, reborn without the taint of his enemy, allowing him to finally defeat him. He couldn't have won without first dying. Think of Neo in The Matrix. He's gunned down by Agent Smith in a hallway. He is, for all intents and purposes, dead. His vital signs flatline, but through Trinity's love and belief, he is brought back. He is resurrected, and when he stands up, he is no longer just Neo. He is the One. He sees the world not as a person but as code. He has been reborn with a divine understanding, allowing him to defeat the seemingly invincible agent with ease. This is the ultimate synthesis of the hero's journey. They must use the lesson learned in the inmost cave, the wisdom gained from the ordeal, to pass this final test. It's not about brute strength. It's about the application of wisdom. Luke Skywalker, in his final attack run on the Death Star, is about to be shot down by Darth Vader. This is his resurrection moment. He hears the voice of his mentor, Obi-Wan, telling him to use the Force. He has to let go of his reliance on technology, his old self, and put his faith in the mystical energy he has just begun to understand. He turns off his targeting computer, a symbolic death of his old pilot ego, and in that moment of pure faith, he is reborn as a Jedi. The resurrection is the climax because it resolves the central conflict of the story, on both an external and internal level. Externally, the hero finally defeats the primary antagonistic force. Simba throws Scar from Pride Rock. Ripley blows the alien queen out of the airlock. But more importantly, internally, the hero finally masters the lesson they were sent on the journey to learn. They have conquered their inner demons. They have faced their deepest fear and emerged on the other side, transformed. The hero who left home at the start of the story could never have survived this final battle. That person was too weak, too naive, too selfish. The person facing the resurrection is the culmination of every trial, every failure, and every small victory along the way. They have been forged in the fires of adventure, and this is their final purification. They are no longer just a person from the ordinary world. They have become a master of two worlds. They have balanced the mundane with the magical, the practical with the spiritual. And this is the true prize of the journey. The elixir, the treasure, the golden fleece, these are just symbols. The real reward is the hero's own transformation. The resurrection is the moment they prove it to the world and, more importantly, to themselves. They have faced death and returned, not as they were, but as who they were always meant to become. They have won. The path is clear. They have survived the chase, and they have been reborn in a final climactic confrontation. Now all that is left is to take that final step, to cross the threshold one last time and return home, forever changed, carrying the gift that will heal their world. But bringing that gift home is a journey unto itself, a final test of everything the hero has become. Because the dark world does not give up its treasures easily. The hero may have won the ultimate prize, but the story isn't over. In fact, the third act has just begun. This is the return, and it is often just as perilous, and in many ways more psychologically complex, than the journey into the abyss. Think about it. The hero has stolen fire from the gods, a golden fleece from a dragon, a sacred elixir from the heart of the underworld. The forces they defeated are not just vanquished, they are enraged. The entire supernatural world might now be in hot pursuit. This is what Joseph Campbell called the magic flight. It's the high-speed chase scene at the end of the movie. It's Frodo and Sam, having destroyed the One Ring, desperately scrambling to escape the erupting fires of Mount Doom. The very ground is collapsing beneath them. The mission complete, but their survival anything but guaranteed. It's Indiana Jones grabbing the idol, only to trigger every booby trap in the temple on his way out. The prize is in his hand, but now he has to outrun a giant rolling boulder. The magic flight is the universe's last-ditch effort to reclaim what was taken. The hero is often exhausted, wounded, and running on fumes. They've given everything they had to win the final battle, and now they're being asked for more. This is where the story tests the hero's resourcefulness, their endurance, and often the very magic of the boon they've just acquired. Sometimes the elixir itself provides the means of escape, creating obstacles for their pursuers, a trail of magical breadcrumbs that distract or disorient the enemy. The hero must use their newfound power not to fight, but to flee, to preserve the gift they fought so hard to win. But what happens when that's not enough? What happens when the hero is at the absolute end of their rope, when the enemy is closing in and all hope seems lost? This is the moment for one of the most powerful and emotionally resonant stages of the entire journey: the rescue from without. The hero, having proven they are willing to sacrifice everything, is now saved by a force from the outside. They don't save themselves. They are saved. This is Gandalf arriving with the Great Eagles to pluck Frodo and Sam from the slopes of Mount Doom. After all their struggle, they could not have taken one more step. Their journey was over. But because of the good they had done, because of the alliances they had forged, help came from the sky. It's Han Solo, the cynical smuggler, returning in the final moment to clear the way for Luke Skywalker's trench run on the Death Star. Luke was on his own using the Force, but he would have been shot down if not for the friend he had made and inspired. This stage is critical because it shatters the myth of the lone wolf hero. It teaches us that true heroism is not about doing everything yourself. It's about inspiring others, building community, and knowing that your journey is connected to everyone else's. The rescue from without is the world giving back to the hero who gave everything for it. It's the karmic reward, the proof that their sacrifice was seen, that it mattered. It's a moment of profound grace, a reminder that even in our darkest hour, we are not always alone. And so the hero escapes. They've survived. They have the elixir. They stand at the border of the world they once called home. But here they face perhaps the most difficult challenge of all: the crossing of the return threshold. Getting back is one thing, fitting back in is another. The hero left the ordinary world as one person, and is now returning as someone completely different. They have seen the face of God, they have battled demons, they have walked in the land of the dead. How do you go back to paying taxes and worrying about rush hour traffic after that? This is the profound sense of alienation every returned soldier feels. It's the student who spends a year abroad and comes back to find their old friends talking about the same old things, unable to comprehend the person they've become. The world they left behind is exactly the same, but they are irrevocably changed, and the gap between the two can feel like an impossible chasm. The wisdom they've gained, the elixir, can feel like a burden. How do you explain the unexplainable to people who haven't seen what you've seen? The truths you've learned might seem like madness to the uninitiated. The hero can be seen as a lunatic, a troublemaker, or simply a stranger. They no longer speak the same language. The challenge now is not to slay a dragon, but to integrate two different realities. The hero has to learn how to live in the ordinary world again, but without abandoning the wisdom they gained in the special world. This is the path to becoming the master of two worlds. This is the hero who can navigate the mundane and the magical with equal ease. They can sit down for a family dinner, and they can also commune with the spirits of the forest. They are grounded in reality, but animated by a transcendent understanding. Think of Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi. He is a powerful Jedi Knight, a master of the Force who has confronted the Emperor himself. But he is also just Luke, a son, a brother, a friend celebrating with the Ewoks. He hasn't become a detached, ethereal monk. He has integrated his cosmic experience with his human existence. This is the ultimate balance. The hero doesn't reject the ordinary world in favor of the special one, nor do they forget their journey to fit back in. Instead, they become a bridge between the two, living a normal life, but living it with a depth and a purpose that was previously impossible. They bring the wisdom of the gods into the lives of everyday people. And this mastery, this integration leads to the final ultimate boon of the entire journey: the freedom to live. Having faced death and been reborn, the hero is no longer afraid of it. Having confronted their greatest fears, they are no longer controlled by them. The anxieties and desires that drive most people, the fear of dying, the lust for power, the craving for approval, no longer have a hold on them. They are free. They are free to live in the moment, to experience the now, without being haunted by the past or terrified of the future. This is the true elixir. Not a magical potion, but a state of being. It's the Buddha achieving enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. It's Neo seeing the Matrix for what it is, code, and no longer being bound by its rules. The goal of the hero's journey isn't to gain treasure or power. The goal is to achieve a state of inner liberation so profound that you can simply be, here and now, fully alive. The hero doesn't need to worry about what comes next, because they understand that every moment is a destination in itself. They have brought the gift back to their community, not just as a tangible object, but as a living example of what it means to be a complete human being. They have healed their world by first healing themselves. They have faced the dragon, they have returned home, and in doing so they have earned the right to simply live, and to help others do the same. This is the final gift of the Monomyth. The promise that on the other side of our greatest trials lies not just survival, but a deep and lasting peace. But is that really the end of the story? Is the return home, the sharing of the boon, the final chapter? For the hero of that particular tale, perhaps. But for the story itself, for the pattern, it is never-ending. Because the hero's journey is not just a description of ancient myths carved in stone. It is a living, breathing blueprint for transformation that is being rewritten every single day. It's happening right now, in the movie you just watched, the video game you can't put down, and most importantly, inside of you. The structure Joseph Campbell identified, this monomyth, didn't just fade away with the pantheons of Greece and Rome. It became the secret weapon of modern storytelling. Think about it. Why do we feel such a powerful connection to a farm boy from a desert planet who dreams of the stars? Luke Skywalker's call to adventure isn't a message from the gods. It's a holographic plea from a princess. His mentor isn't a centaur. He's a reclusive old wizard in the desert. His ordeal isn't in a literal underworld. It's in the metallic trenches of a Death Star. It's the same ancient skeleton, just dressed in the clothes of science fiction. Or consider Neo, a cubicle worker living a life of quiet desperation, who feels that something is fundamentally wrong with his world. The White Rabbit isn't a mystical creature. It's a tattoo on a woman's shoulder. The choice he's offered isn't between two paths in a forest. It's between a red pill and a blue pill. The Matrix is a perfect, modern retelling of the journey. Neo literally dies and is resurrected, returning with the power to reshape his reality, to free the minds of others. It's the boon, the elixir, brought back for the benefit of his people. This isn't an accident. Hollywood screenwriting manuals explicitly teach this structure. George Lucas famously and openly credited Joseph Campbell's work as the foundational influence for Star Wars. Storytellers know that this pattern resonates with us on a primal level because it's not just a formula for a good yarn. It's a formula for human growth. It taps into something deep within our collective unconscious, a term coined by the psychologist Carl Jung, a contemporary and one-time colleague of Campbell's. Jung proposed that all of humanity shares a psychic inheritance, a reservoir of experiences and images from our ancestors. Within this collective unconscious are what he called archetypes, universal, archaic patterns and images that derive from this shared well of human experience. The hero is an archetype. The mentor is an archetype. The shadow, the trickster, the threshold guardian. These aren't just character tropes. They are fundamental aspects of the human psyche. When we watch a hero confront a villain, Jung would argue we are externalizing our own internal struggle with our shadow, the parts of ourselves that we repress, deny, or are ashamed of. The dragon the knight must slay is not just a lizard with wings. It represents the untamed, chaotic, and fearsome parts of our own nature. By conquering the dragon, the hero integrates that shadow, taming its destructive power and harnessing its strength. This is why the villain in a great story is often a dark reflection of the hero. Darth Vader is Luke's father. Professor Moriarty is Sherlock Holmes' intellectual equal. They represent what the hero could become if they made the wrong choices, if they failed to integrate their own darkness. The journey, then, is not about going somewhere out there. It's a map for an inward journey of psychological integration. It's the process of becoming a whole person. And this is where the monomyth transcends simple storytelling and becomes an incredibly powerful tool for your own life. Because the call to adventure is not a relic of the past. It is happening to you all the time. It's that nagging feeling that you're in the wrong job, that you're meant for something more. It's the sudden terrifying opportunity to move to a new city. It's the quiet voice that tells you to start that business, to write that book, to learn that skill, to end that relationship that is no longer serving you. It's the diagnosis from a doctor that forces you to completely reevaluate how you live. These are the heralds, sounding the trumpet for your own journey. And what is our first, most common reaction? The refusal of the call. We say, "I'm not ready. I'm too busy. What if I fail? I'm comfortable here." We create 1,000 excuses, 1,000 rationalizations to stay in our ordinary world. This refusal isn't a sign of weakness. It's a natural human response to the terrifying prospect of change. The unknown is scary. The special world is, by its very nature, dangerous. Staying put feels safe. But we also know deep down that a life lived in perpetual refusal is a life half-lived. The unfaced adventure festers, turning into regret, bitterness, and a sense of profound stagnation. So how do we overcome this refusal? The same way every hero in every story does. We meet a mentor. Supernatural aid. In our modern world, this aid rarely comes in the form of a wizard with a magical sword. But it comes. A mentor can be a teacher, a boss, or a friend who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. It can be a book that completely changes your perspective. It can be a therapist who gives you the tools to navigate your inner world. It can be a YouTube video that lands in your feed at the exact right moment, giving you the piece of information or the jolt of inspiration you need to finally take the first step. The mentor's job is not to slay the dragon for you. It is to give you the map, the weapon, or the piece of wisdom that convinces you that you are capable of slaying it yourself. They equip you. They embolden you. They remind you of the stakes, of what you stand to gain by answering the call, and all you stand to lose by refusing it. Look around your own life. Who are your mentors? What are your sources of supernatural aid? It could be the stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius you read in the morning, the encouragement of your partner, or the expertise of a personal trainer pushing you to do one more rep. We are surrounded by potential mentors. The key is to be open to receiving their help, to have the humility to accept that we cannot complete the journey alone. Recognizing this pattern in your own life is the first step toward consciously engaging with it. You can begin to see your anxieties not as mere problems, but as threshold guardians, challenging you to prove your worth. You can see your self-doubt not as a personal failing, but as the universal refusal of the call. You can see your moments of inspiration and the helpful people in your life not as random luck, but as the arrival of your mentor. By framing your life in the context of the hero's journey, you transform it. The mundane becomes meaningful. Your struggles become chapters in an epic. Your fears become dragons waiting to be conquered. You are no longer a passive victim of circumstance. You are the protagonist of your own myth. And like every protagonist, you stand before a threshold. Point of no return. A moment where you must choose to either retreat back into the comfortable but stagnant ordinary world, or take a leap of faith into the unknown. This is the moment of commitment, the first true test of the hero's resolve. And once that leap is taken, the ground doesn't just disappear, it changes. The air grows colder. The light grows dim. The path forward, which was once a series of separate trials and challenges, now converges on a single terrifying location. The hero, having survived the initial tests and gathered their allies, is no longer just wandering through the special world. They are now actively moving toward its dark heart. This is the approach to the inmost cave. This stage is the final leg of the journey before the ultimate confrontation. It's the quiet, tense march into enemy territory. Think of it as the second major threshold crossing. The first was leaving the ordinary world behind. This one is far more deliberate, far more dangerous. This is the conscious decision to enter the place where the ultimate power, the ultimate treasure, or the ultimate evil resides. It's the place the hero fears most. The inmost cave is rarely a literal cave. It's a symbol for the most dangerous spot in the special world. It's the Death Star. It's Mordor. It's the corporate boardroom where the villain lays out their final plan. It's the fortified compound, the dragon's lair, the inner sanctum. Psychologically, it represents the deepest recesses of the hero's mind, the place where their darkest fears, repressed memories, and personal demons are locked away. To get the prize, to defeat the villain, the hero must go there. And the approach is everything. It's the long, perilous journey of Frodo and Sam through the wastelands of Mordor, with the eye of Sauron ever watchful. Every step is fraught with danger, and the destination itself promises almost certain death. It's the slow, suspenseful descent of the Nostromo crew into the bowels of their own ship, hunting the xenomorph, knowing that the hunter is also the hunted. The inmost cave, for them, is the dark, labyrinthine corridors of the very place they once called home. In Star Wars, this stage is magnificent. Luke, Han, and Leia are pulled into the Death Star. They are literally inside the belly of the beast. Their approach to the inmost cave isn't just one moment, it's a series of them. It's sneaking through corridors, disguising themselves in enemy armor, and descending into the stinking, claustrophobic trash compactor. That trash compactor is a perfect mini-cave. A tight space, a monster, and the threat of being crushed. They are at the very heart of the enemy's power, a place from which there seems to be no escape. The tension is unbearable because they are so close to the central power of the Empire, and yet so vulnerable. This stage is where the hero's team often has a moment to regroup, to plan, to take a final breath before the plunge. It's the Fellowship of the Ring standing before the doors of Durin, trying to solve the riddle to enter the mines of Moria. They know that to enter is to invite untold peril, yet it's the only path forward. It's the quiet scene in a war movie, the night before the final battle, where soldiers share stories, look at pictures from home, and make promises to one another. This moment of camaraderie is essential. It's what strengthens their resolve. They are preparing not just their weapons but their spirits. The approach to the inmost cave is also where the hero must confront their own internal shadow. The external journey to a physical place mirrors the internal journey toward a psychological truth. To enter the cave, the hero must be ready to face what's inside themselves. Luke Skywalker, training with Yoda on Dagobah, is told to enter a dark cave. When he asks what's inside, Yoda simply says, "Only what you take with you." Inside, Luke confronts a vision of Darth Vader, strikes him down, only to see his own face inside the shattered mask. The cave showed him his greatest fear, that he could become the very thing he was fighting against. He had to approach that darkness within himself before he could ever hope to face the real Vader. This is why this stage is so critical in our own lives. The inmost cave is that terrifying thing we know we must do. It's the job interview for the position that could change our life. It's the difficult conversation we need to have with a loved one. It's the decision to finally seek therapy to confront a trauma we've been avoiding for years. The approach is the preparation. It's the sleepless night before, rehearsing what you'll say. It's driving to the therapist's office, your hands shaking on the steering wheel. It's updating your resume, gathering your courage, and clicking send. During this approach, all of our doubts and fears come screaming to the surface. The guardians of the cave aren't always literal monsters. They are our own inner voices of self-doubt. You're not good enough. You're going to fail. Who do you think you are? Turn back now while you still can. The hero's task during the approach is to silence those voices, to draw on the lessons from their mentor, to lean on the support of their allies, and to find the courage to take that next step. This is also where the stakes are clarified and magnified. The plan is made. The hero and their allies look at the blueprints of the Death Star. They study the map of the Dragon's Mountain. They identify the enemy's single weakness. The goal becomes crystal clear, but so does the risk. Success means achieving everything they've fought for. Failure means death, enslavement, or the destruction of their world. There is no more ambiguity. The time for training and small tests is over. The final exam is here. In The Matrix, the approach is one of the most iconic scenes in modern cinema. Morpheus has been captured. He is in the inmost cave, an anonymous room high up in a skyscraper, guarded by agents. The approach is not slow and stealthy. It's an explosive, audacious assault. Neo makes a decision. He tells Trinity, "I'm going in." And she says, "I'm coming with you." Their approach is gearing up with an arsenal of weapons, walking into the lobby, and launching a full frontal attack. They are consciously choosing to walk into the most dangerous place imaginable, the heart of the Matrix's control, to face its most powerful guardians. The entire sequence is a masterclass in building tension and resolve before the central ordeal. Notice the pattern. The hero must make a conscious, willing choice to enter this place of ultimate danger. They are not tricked or forced into it at this point. They have been tested, they have grown, and now they choose to face the darkness head-on. It's Harry, Ron, and Hermione deciding to go through the trapdoor to protect the Sorcerer's Stone. It's Indiana Jones entering the Well of Souls. It's Clarice Starling descending the stairs into Buffalo Bill's basement. This is the final moment of preparation, the final inventory of skills, courage, and support. The hero stands at the threshold of the abyss, at the mouth of the cave. They can hear the monster breathing in the darkness. They can feel the oppressive power emanating from within. Everything in their journey has led to this single terrifying moment. The world holds its breath. There is no turning back now. The only way out is through. They take one last look at their allies. A silent nod of understanding passes between them, and with a deep, steadying breath, they step across the threshold into the darkness. This is the belly of the beast, the sacred, terrifying space where the hero's greatest fears are made real. It is the labyrinth, the dragon's lair, the Death Star's throne room. It is the heart of the special world, a place where the normal rules of reality are suspended, and the subconscious mind reigns supreme. Every shadow that has been chasing the hero, every doubt that has whispered in their ear, now takes physical form. This is the stage known as the Supreme Ordeal. It is the black moment, the point of no return. The ordeal is not just another fight. It is the central crisis of the entire journey. It is a direct confrontation with death itself. For the hero to be reborn, they must first die. This isn't always a literal death, though it can be. More often, it is the death of the ego, the death of the person they used to be. It is a complete and total surrender to the abyss. Think of Luke Skywalker in The Empire Strikes Back. His ordeal isn't just the lightsaber duel with Darth Vader. It's the psychological shattering that comes with the revelation. I am your father. In that moment, everything Luke thought he knew about himself, his family, and his quest for good is annihilated. His identity is destroyed. The truth he was fighting for turns out to be a lie. He is forced to confront the terrifying reality that the evil he sought to destroy is a part of his own bloodline, a part of himself. He chooses to let go, to fall into the abyss below, rather than join the darkness. This is his symbolic death. He has to die as the naive farm boy to eventually be reborn as a true Jedi Knight. Or consider Harry Potter, walking into the Forbidden Forest, prepared to sacrifice himself to Voldemort. His entire journey has been about survival, about fighting back. But his supreme ordeal requires the exact opposite. He must willingly walk into the arms of his mortal enemy and accept his own death. This is the ultimate test of his courage. Not the courage to fight, but the courage to let go. He must shed his identity as the boy who lived and embrace the role of the sacrifice. Only by dying can he destroy the piece of Voldemort's soul that lives inside him, and only then can he be reborn, pure and free, to finally face his nemesis on equal terms. This moment of death and rebirth is the crucible that forges the hero. It's the fire that burns away all impurities, all illusions, all fear. The hero goes into the ordeal as one person and, if they survive, comes out as someone entirely new. They have faced their greatest fear, looked into the face of their own mortality, and have not blinked. They have touched the void. This is why this stage is so critical. It's the moment the hero proves they are worthy. Frodo Baggins at the cracks of doom is a perfect example. His ordeal isn't just fighting Gollum. It's the internal war against the ring itself. After a journey of impossible hardship, at the very precipice of success, he fails. He claims the ring for himself. The hero is overcome by the very evil he sought to destroy. His death is a spiritual one, the death of the pure-hearted hobbit from the Shire. It is only through the desperate, tragic intervention of Gollum, his own shadow self, that the ring is destroyed. Frodo doesn't win through strength, but through the pity and mercy he showed Gollum earlier in the journey. He survives his ordeal, but he is forever changed, forever wounded. He has seen the darkness in his own heart. What is this really about? In our own lives, the supreme ordeal is the dark night of the soul. It's the moment of ultimate crisis, the business failure that wipes you out, the diagnosis from the doctor that changes everything, the devastating breakup that shatters your sense of self. It's the moment you hit rock bottom and are forced to confront the person you have become. It's the point where your old coping mechanisms, your old beliefs, your old identity simply don't work anymore. They have to die. And in that terrifying, empty space of surrender, something new has the chance to be born. A new strength, a new perspective, a truer self. Because out of the ashes of this symbolic death, the hero rises. And having survived the abyss, they claim their prize. This is the next stage. Seizing the sword, also known as the reward. Having confronted the dragon, the hero now takes its treasure. But the reward is rarely what you think it is. It's not always a chest of gold or a magic sword. Often the sword is a metaphor for the thing the hero came to find. Knowledge, wisdom, love, the secret to defeating the villain. It is the elixir that will heal their community. After Luke Skywalker survives his ordeal with Vader and falls, he is rescued. His reward isn't a weapon. It's the truth. A terrible, devastating truth, but a truth nonetheless. He now knows what he is up against, not just an external evil empire, but an internal struggle against his own heritage. This knowledge is the sword he will use to ultimately redeem his father and save the galaxy. His reward is wisdom. Think of Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. He goes through a series of deadly trials to find the Holy Grail. But when he finally reaches it, the true reward isn't the cup itself. It's using the Grail's power to heal his dying father. And in that moment, he lets the Grail go, recognizing that his relationship with his father, which he has also healed, is the real treasure. He seizes the sword not by taking the prize, but by understanding its true purpose and then letting it go. His reward is reconciliation. Sometimes the reward is a literal object of immense power. In The Matrix, Neo is killed by Agent Smith in the hallway. That is his ordeal, his death. But through Trinity's love, he is brought back. He is reborn. And his reward? He becomes the One. He doesn't just get a new power-up. His entire perception of reality has changed. He now sees the Matrix for what it is, code. The reward is the full realization of his own power, the ultimate self-knowledge. He has seized the sword of his own potential. This is the prize for surviving the dark night. You go into the crisis and you face your demons. You let your old fearful self die. And what you emerge with is the reward. The resilience you didn't know you had. The clarity that comes after a great loss. The self-respect you gain from walking through the fire and not being consumed. The sword you seize is the wisdom that you are stronger than you ever imagined. The hero has done it. They have journeyed into the heart of darkness, faced death, and emerged victorious, prize in hand. The music swells. Feels like the end, but the story is far from over. Because now they have to get home. And often, the forces of darkness are not so willing to let their treasure go. The hero may have won the battle, but the war for their return is just beginning. The beast has been wounded, not slain, and now it is angry. This is the great, unspoken lie of adventure. That the climax happens in the dragon's lair. That stealing the treasure is the final act. It's not. The journey to the treasure is a test of skill and courage. But the journey back, that is a test of the soul. Because now the hero has something to lose. The flight from the abyss, the desperate scramble back towards the light, is often the most thrilling and perilous part of the entire saga. This is Stage 10, the road back. It's the high-speed chase after the bank heist. It's Han Solo screaming down the corridors of the Death Star, stormtroopers at his heels. It's Frodo and Sam, having cast the ring into the fires of Mount Doom, now facing an impossible escape as the very world collapses around them. The objective has been achieved, the prize secured, but the story is far from over. The hero must consciously choose to return to the ordinary world to complete the circle. And the forces of the underworld, the guardians of the special world, will not make it easy. They will pursue the hero relentlessly, seeking to reclaim what was taken. Think of the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. He descends into the underworld, charms Hades with his music, and wins back the soul of his beloved wife. The boon is his, but there's a condition. He must walk back to the world of the living and not look back at her until they are both fully in the sunlight. The entire journey home is fraught with a single, agonizing test of faith. The road back, for him, isn't a physical chase, but a psychological torment. He hears her footsteps falter, he feels the silence grow, and his doubt consumes him. He turns, and loses her forever. He won the prize but failed the road back. This stage reveals the hero's true commitment. Are they returning for glory? For riches? Or are they returning to share the gift they've won? The nature of the pursuit often reflects the hero's inner state. If the hero stole the boon selfishly, they might be pursued by monsters and demons, external projections of their own greed. But if they won it through sacrifice and for the good of others, the road back might be aided by supernatural forces, a magical flight that carries them home. When the eagles rescue Frodo and Sam from the slopes of Mount Doom, it is the universe itself rewarding their selfless act. But this frantic escape, this desperate flight towards the familiar, is only a prelude. It's the breathless sprint that leads to one final unavoidable confrontation. The hero is on the threshold of home. The ordinary world is just in sight, but the shadow they thought they defeated, the evil they thought they vanquished, has one last move to make. It has followed them back. The beast they wounded in the underworld has returned for a final battle, not in its world but in theirs. This is the climax of the entire journey. This is stage 11, the resurrection. This isn't just another fight. This is the ultimate test. It is the hero's final exam, where they must prove they have truly mastered the lessons of their ordeal. It's called the resurrection because the hero must face a final death, often symbolic, sometimes literal, and be reborn. They must shed the last vestiges of their old self, their old fears, their old ego, and emerge as something new, something transcendent. Look at Harry Potter. He has the elixir, the knowledge of how to destroy Voldemort's Horcruxes. He's on the road back, returning to Hogwarts for the final battle. But his ultimate test isn't just a dazzling duel of spells. It's a moment of profound sacrifice. He learns that he himself is a Horcrux, that for Voldemort to be defeated, he, Harry, must die. He willingly walks into the Forbidden Forest, unarmed, and allows his enemy to strike him down. He dies, and in that space between life and death, he meets Dumbledore, purges himself of Voldemort's soul fragment, and chooses to return. He is literally resurrected, no longer the boy who lived by luck, but the man who conquered death through love and sacrifice. When he faces Voldemort for the last time, he is a changed being. He is the master of his own destiny. This is the pattern we see again and again. Luke Skywalker, aboard the second Death Star, faces Vader and the Emperor. He has already defeated Vader in combat, striking off his hand in a fit of rage. He has the power to kill him, but this is his resurrection moment. He looks at his own mechanical hand, then at his father's, and sees the cycle of hatred he is about to continue. And in that moment he throws down his lightsaber. He rejects the final temptation of the dark side. He chooses to die as a Jedi rather than live as a monster. I am a Jedi like my father before me. In that act of surrender he is reborn. He resurrects the good in his father, and saves the soul of the galaxy. Even in stories that seem simpler, this moment is the true peak. Simba returns to Pride Rock. That's the road back. But he must face Scar. This isn't just a fight for the throne. It's a battle for his own identity. Scar forces him to confront his deepest shame, the belief that he killed his own father. The moment he's hanging from the cliff, in the exact same position his father was, Scar whispers the truth. I killed Mufasa. In that instant, Simba's old, guilt-ridden self dies. A fire ignites within him, and he finds the strength to pull himself up, reborn as the true king. The rain that follows doesn't just wash away the bones and dust. It's a baptism, cleansing the land and anointing its resurrected ruler. The resurrection is the final purification. The hero has been to the abyss and returned, but they carry the dust of that other world on them. This final ordeal is the fire that burns it all away, leaving only the pure, transformed individual. They have faced their greatest fear, their own death, and have emerged victorious. They are no longer just a person, they are a symbol, and now at last they can truly come home. This brings us to the final act of the return journey, stage 12, return with the elixir. The hero crosses the threshold back into the ordinary world, but they do not come back empty-handed. They carry the boon, the treasure, the elixir that will heal their world. This elixir can be many things. It can be a literal object, like the golden fleece that Jason brings back to reclaim his kingdom, or the magical water of life that heals the ailing king. But more often than not, the elixir is something intangible. It is wisdom. It is experience. It is love. It is freedom. Moana returns the heart of Te Fiti, and the elixir is literal life, healing her island and restoring her people's heritage as voyagers. The hero's journey restores the world, but sometimes the elixir is for the hero alone. In the first Rocky film, Rocky Balboa doesn't win the fight. He loses, but he goes the distance. He proves to himself and the world that he's not just another bum from the neighborhood. The elixir he brings back isn't a trophy. It's self-respect. It's the love of Adrian. That is the treasure he was fighting for all along. The return isn't always a triumphant parade. The world the hero left behind may have moved on. It may not understand or even want the gift the hero brings back. The prophet is often without honor in his own land. Frodo Baggins returns to the Shire with the ultimate elixir: peace. He has saved the entire world. But he finds the Shire itself has been corrupted, and he must fight one last battle to cleanse it. And even after that, he cannot enjoy the peace he fought for. The wounds he received, both physical and spiritual, are too deep. The elixir he brought back was for everyone else. For himself, the only cure is to leave that world behind entirely. The hero has faced the abyss, been reborn in fire, and has carried a piece of heaven back to earth. They have completed the circle. They have endured the unendurable and have returned transformed. They are back on the doorstep of the life they once knew, but they are not the person who left. They hold the power to save their world, to heal their community, to share the wisdom they have bled for. The journey is over, and yet the story isn't. One final question hangs in the air, the most important question of all. What happens now? How does a person who has walked with gods and battled demons go back to paying taxes and mowing the lawn? The hero has returned, but are they truly home? This final stage, the resurrection, is the hero's ultimate test. It's not enough to have survived the abyss in the special world. They must now face one final purifying ordeal back on their home turf. This is the true climax of the story. It's Neo facing Agent Smith not in the Matrix's code, but in a rain-soaked city street, a battle for the soul of humanity itself. It's Harry Potter walking willingly into the Forbidden Forest, facing Voldemort at Hogwarts, the very place his journey began. This isn't just another fight. This is a moment of sacrifice and rebirth. The hero must use everything they learned in the special world and apply it in the ordinary one. They have to prove that their transformation is real, permanent, and powerful enough to change the world they came from. In this final ordeal, the hero often has to let their old self die completely. The fears, the doubts, the ego that they've been carrying all this time. It all has to be shed. They are pushed to the brink of death one last time, only to be reborn, not as the person who left, but as a master of both worlds. They have integrated the wisdom of the gods with the reality of being human. They have faced their deepest fear, their personal dragon, and have emerged cleansed, whole, and ready for the final step: the return with the elixir. This is the entire point of the journey. The hero doesn't go through hell just for personal gain. They undertake the quest to bring something back to their community, to heal a wound in their world. This elixir is the prize they won in the abyss. Sometimes it's literal, a grail, a magical fleece, a cure for a plague. But more often it's symbolic. It's wisdom. It's hope. It's freedom. It's a story. When Moana returns the heart of Te Fiti, she doesn't just bring back an object. She brings back the spirit of exploration and life itself to her people. The elixir she returns with is their identity. When Luke Skywalker returns from his ordeal with Vader and the Emperor, he doesn't bring a superweapon. He brings the return of the Jedi, the promise of a new hope for the galaxy. The hero returns as a changed person, a source of inspiration, and a catalyst for a new beginning. They share their elixir, and in doing so they redeem the wasteland. They heal the community. The journey was never just about them. It was about everyone. But this is where the story takes a turn that is often bittersweet, sometimes even tragic, because the final challenge isn't a monster or a villain. It's trying to fit back in. How do you explain the infinite to people who have only ever known the finite? The hero is fundamentally, irrevocably changed. They have seen the universe behind the curtain, and now they are being asked to go back to the play. The world they left behind hasn't changed, but they have. And that creates a chasm. This is the great unspoken pain of the hero. They are often lonely figures, misunderstood by the very people they saved. Think of Frodo Baggins. He saves the Shire, the place he loves more than anything. He is hailed as a hero, but he can't enjoy it. The parties and the peace feel hollow. While his friends marry and settle down, he is haunted by the ring, by the wound from the Morgul blade, by the memory of the fire and the darkness. He saved the Shire, but not for himself. His elixir was peace, but it came at the cost of his own. He no longer fits. And so he must leave, sailing away to the undying lands, the only place a soul so deeply changed can find rest. This is the paradox of the return. The hero's journey makes them extraordinary, but the world they return to is still ordinary. And sometimes the only way to truly honor the journey is to recognize that you can never fully go home again. And this is where the blueprint of myth stops being about gods and wizards and becomes about you. Because this entire structure, this monomyth we've been exploring for 10 parts, isn't just a formula for blockbuster movies. It's a map of the human soul. It's the framework for every significant transformation in our own lives. You felt it. You know you have. The call to adventure isn't a magical scroll delivered by an owl. It's the restlessness in your heart telling you you're meant for more. It's the job offer in a new city. It's the decision to go back to school, to start a business, to finally get healthy, to end a relationship that's holding you back. It's that whisper that says, there is a better version of you waiting, but you have to go on a journey to find them. And you know the refusal of the call. It's the voice of fear. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. What if I fail? It's the comfort of the known holding you hostage from the potential of the unknown. But eventually, something pushes you across the threshold. You buy the plane ticket. You enroll in the class, you have the difficult conversation. You step out of your comfort zone, your ordinary world, and into the special world of your own making. And there you find your tests, allies, and enemies. The challenges at the new job, the friends who support your new lifestyle, the old habits that try to drag you back down. And every one of us, if we live a life of any meaning, will face the inmost cave. We will have our ordeal. It's the moment of crisis, the business failing, the diagnosis from the doctor, the dark night of the soul where you are stripped of everything and forced to confront who you really are. It's the point where you feel like you are going to break. But you don't. You survive. And in that survival you find your reward. It's not a magic sword. It's a new perspective. It's a strength you never knew you had. It's the profound, unshakable knowledge that you faced the worst, and you are still standing. That is your elixir. And then comes the road back, the struggle to integrate this new self into your old life. You face your own resurrection, that final test where you have to prove your change is real. Maybe it's refusing to fall back into old patterns, or standing up for your new beliefs to your family and friends. It's the moment you die to who you were, so you can be reborn as who you are meant to be. And finally, you return with the elixir. You share your story. You use your hard-won strength to help others. You take the wisdom you forged in the fire and you use it to bring light to your community, your family, your world. You become the mentor for the next person who hears the call. The hero's journey is the operating system of human growth. It's coded into our DNA. We love these stories not because they are an escape from our lives, but because they are a reflection of our lives. They give us a language for our struggles and a blueprint for our triumphs. They remind us that chaos is not the enemy. It is the catalyst. The dragon is not just a monster to be slain. It is the guardian of the treasure you seek. The journey into the dark is not something to be feared. It is the only way to find the light. Every myth, every legend, every story that has ever captured the human heart is telling you the same thing, over and over again. You are on a journey. You will be called into the unknown. You will face trials that seem impossible. You will be broken down and remade. But within you is the power to face the abyss, to claim your treasure, and to return with a gift that can heal the world. The stories are just a rehearsal. Your life is the main event. The universal story in every myth is, and always has been, the story of you. The question was never if the call would come. The only question is, when it does, will you answer it?